Good morning. Let me see some energy in the room. Have we all taken breakfast? Okay, so this being one of the first NDC Finance Academy in Africa, I really expect to see some fireworks from this particular team because this team has been said or has been identified as the leaders for NDC financing in Africa. So as leaders, we must, rise up to that occasion. So what that means is that we must make this particular event a landmark event, an event that the world will be able to look at and will be able to say that this is truly a transformational capacity building initiative. And for that to happen, I would like us to pay attention. I would like us to not to concentrate on our laptops, not to concentrate on our phones and phone calls and movements. We are entering a very interesting phase for Africa. So this is very definitive, and we need to take advantage of that. So my name is Joanes Atela, as has been mentioned, and I think most of you have interacted with most of you virtually, but really a great joy to see you and most of the people, most of the faces live. It's such a momentous moment that I think defines a lot of things. So first of all, let me just take this opportunity to welcome you to Kenya and to Naivasha specifically. Naivasha is a land that defines most of the things that define what Kenya is. It's in the Rift Valley. There's some of the key features that Kenya is known for globally are basically here. So we are also just around one of the most recognized international lake. So I think these are things that would be very interesting for you. So try as much as possible to enjoy the occasion. Now that I've welcomed you, I just want to read a short speech. I think you have it in the brochure that has been shared. But just very quickly, before I usher in my great colleague from Frankfurt School, the landmark Paris Agreement ushered in a new dawn in climate change governance, presenting a more hybrid system that allows developing countries to pursue locally led climate actions through official pledges known as the nationally determined contribution. So mark that point, very important. This is a situation whereby Africa has an opportunity to define its own climate actions through the NDC. So that is very critical. Many African countries have now updated their commitments to the Paris Agreement through revised NDC submissions, which set higher ambitions for financial needs for both mitigation and adaptation. Over 50% of the proposed actions in the revised NDCs are pegged on availability of funding from international sources. So that is also a very critical statement, that over 50% of actions that have been proposed in the NDCs, the African NDCs, are pegged on money, finance. So that means if there is no money, what happens? It cannot be implemented. That is just to show you why this particular academy is very critical. At this point, the need to strengthen Africa's capacity to access international funding is critical. This need also comes at a time when African countries are championing for a just transition where decarbonization is accompanied by active investments in socio-economic development of affected communities. So Africa has been asking, if you're telling us to decarbonize, how is that going to affect our development? So the idea around just transition is also something that is very critical. And I've been doing some work with the Africa Development Bank, trying to understand what does this just transition mean and how can it be financed? Even the banks are struggling to understand. You know, banks are the sources of money anyway. All the climate finance money, a lot of it comes from the bank. But they are struggling to understand how can they support developing countries to be able to decarbonize while at the same time continuing with sustainable development. So these are questions I'm just posing for the fellows to start thinking, because NDC financing is not just about how to write a proposal. It's about the holistic strategies. It's about how to understand the landscape. It's about how do we approach the issue? What are the issues that are really complex in this particular matter? And as African young leaders in this field, these are the things we need to start questioning, we need to start engaging with. And if we do that, there is transformation for us. So African countries have benefited from various funds in different scales, with emerging opportunities for supporting ambitious actions and a just transition. Key international climate funds such as the Global Climate Fund and the special funds such as the Least Developed Countries Funds and Adaptation Funds continue to play or to flow into the continent. There is an increasing portfolio of available global funding for most African countries to tap into. Very important again. However, accessing these funds remains a challenge for most countries due to several factors. Key among them is the issue of capacity. The point is, there's money. Yeah? There's money every international, there's a lot of money that African countries can tap into. But the question is how to access it. But how to access it is not just about, again, the proposal. It's also about understanding the broader strategies of engaging with those monies. The broader strategies of shaping the way these particular finances are structured in a way that works for Africa. So I want also again to reemphasize that this academy is to help us open our mind and to understand climate finance as a strategic area where we need real strategic thinking and thought leadership, especially from Africa. And again, I emphasize, this is the beginning. This particular academy is the beginning of that particular process. The Africa 2022 NDC Academy has been designed to respond to this capacity need. This is one of the first academy of this kind in Africa. Building on the foundation of a wider NDC fellowship program that has been running for the last 2 years, we are excited to host at least over 40 young leaders in NDC financing from over 20 African countries. The inaugural academy marks the beginning of a transformative and long-term capacity strengthening initiative aimed at accelerating Africa's commitment to the Paris Agreement. Long-term, very important. This is not a capacity building, just to have one-off workshops. This is an initiative that we hope and we aim to ensure that it takes the long-term strategy, because it is only through the long-term strategy that we are going to transform the landscape. If we continue doing capacity building as part of one-off workshops, as part of one-off kind of awareness creation, activities, that is not going to transform the capacity. And we need to take this message to wherever we are, to the donors, to our governments, and to everybody who is expected to play a collective role in this particular matter. And so the initiative, delivered through a strategic partnership between the Africa Research and Impact Network, the Frankfurt School of Business and Management, and with the support for International Center for Development Research, that's IDRC. So this is the partnership that has delivered it. We all know that. And then on behalf of the ARIN, and of course its partners, Dr. here will talk a bit about Frankfurt. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to Naivasha, Kenya, for this exciting encounter. And just a brief about ARIN. The ARIN is a network, I know you now all know this, of over 200 researchers and policymakers from across 36 African countries aimed at promoting research excellence and dialogue on best research and impact practices. The ARIN provides one of the unique convening platforms for science policy interface in Africa, building on evidence. It recognizes that Africa is home to multiple researchers, innovation, and best policy practices, but these remain poorly shared, learned from, to inform impactful research and development agenda. The ARIN therefore provides a peer review platforms where best research and impact practices from different African contexts are shared, profiled, and leveraged to inform transformative policy action. And with these very few remarks, I want to again welcome us to this academy, and we are going to talk more as you know throughout the week. We are going to discuss opportunities and how to continue strengthening the capacity beyond this particular academy.